Washington comes away with a win 21-18. We got to get to the top 5. So let's go Washington first. I feel like that's going to be the better segue. Bobby Wagner, man, still got it.
Ageless.
89.3 from the ageless Bobby Wagner. Defensive tackle Deron Payne with a 72.4 at number 2 on this list. Guard Nick Allegretti with a 71.7. Cornerback Benjamin St. Juste with a 69.0. And then number 5 on the team rounding it out, Brian Robinson with a 68.1. Quarterback Jaden Daniels with a 64.7 on the day. And then flipping sides to the New York Giants, Malik Neighbors, damn near elite grade, 89.4. Linebacker Micah McFadden with an 87.8. Edge rusher Brian Burns coming in at number 3 on this list, 80.2. Andrew Thomas, their offensive tackle, with a 79.8. Dexter Lawrence rounded things out with the top 5 at a 75.3, and then quarterback Daniel Jones with a 71.4. Close divisional game here. Dalton, what was the stat that told the story?
I think it's one of the things, it sounds funny because it's one of the things, though, that I really liked with Jaden Daniels coming out is he just, even when things aren't going great, he doesn't put the ball in danger. And so he's got a 5-yard average depth of target in this game. And Daniels, if you throw on the passing tape right now through 2 games, you're not going to be blown away by much of anything. The feet, he can absolutely run. We know that. We knew that anyway. But he only has 1 turnover-worthy play through 2 games, and it was actually a strip sack last week against Tampa. He's just not giving the game away, and it's such a contrast from what Sam Howell was last year, who I think led the league in turnover-worthy plays. It's keeping them in games. Now, last week their defense wasn't good enough. They gave up 37 points. This was about Jaden Daniels keeping Washington in the game. They ran the ball. Brian Robinson had 133 yards, but right now he's 3rd in the NFL in completion percentage. He's got the 2nd lowest average depth of target. I think actually only ahead of Patrick Mahomes, which is another thing, but This is what Jaden Daniels does, and this is kind of what I expected him to do early. He's going to run the football well because he's a great athlete, but he's going to play it safe. Washington doesn't have very many, if any, vertical threats. It's not going to be the same as it was at LSU, but his adjustment to it right now, while it's not flashy and the grades aren't flashy at all, a 64.7 is not flashy. But right this minute, unlike, say, Caleb Williams or Bo Nix, he is not giving the football away. Right, only the 1 turnover-worthy play. So the flash will come, and they need more receivers next year, offseason. That's a long-term problem. But right now, at the very least, they know Daniels gives them a chance to win, and they found a way to win this game.
Yeah, I think the stat that told the story for me is that the Commanders should have won this game by more. They should have, because
that's true too.
Last week they were 3 for 3 in the red zone when it came to scoring touchdowns. This week they were 0 for 6. So the Giants clamping down in the red zone. I want to give them credit there, but 0 for 6. They get a couple of those. This game's not even close.
Yep.
So this game obviously ended very close on the scoreboard, 21-18. But my stat that told the story is that it should have been more in Washington's favor. It really should have. So that was, to me, a big takeaway there. It's a team that, it opens up a little bit more of a conversation. You go 100% the week before, you go 3 for 3 against Tampa. And then you go 0 for 6 this week against the Giants. Obviously, again, like I said, you want to give respect to the Giants and their defense in the red area, but you got to figure out a way to make it happen there. You can't go goose egg when you get 6 opportunities in the red zone. So that's something to monitor all year long, what Cliff Kingsbury can do as the offensive coordinator there when space becomes at a premium, right? So that, to me, is the stat that told the story. Can I just talk about my most impressive before we get to yours?
Absolutely.
Because this one was nuts. We figured this out when we were watching games yesterday. It's Malik Neighbors. He has to be the most impressive on this list. 18 of the 28 passes that Daniel Jones threw were to Malik Neighbors. 127 of the 178 passing yards that this team had were to Malik Neighbors. And the 60.7 threat percentage. Remember, if you've watched the show, if you've watched NFLSC, if you watch the college show, we talk about this all the time. Threat percentage at PFF, it basically means wide receiver usage. How often are you targeted per route that you are running? If you are in the low 30%, you're a superstar. You're Tyreek Hill, you're CeeDee Lamb, you're Justin Jefferson. Malik Neighbors' threat percentage was a 60.7 yesterday. Ain't nobody else on the team as far as Daniel Jones is concerned. That is the second single game. That is the second highest single game threat percentage that we have ever recorded in the PFF era, outside of Brandon Marshall's record-breaking game when he had 21 catches on 28 targets in, what year was that?
2009.
2009 was that game. This is the second highest performance ever that we have ever recorded when it comes to how often they were targeting Malik Neighbors in the passing game. So he has to be my most impressive because this dude has very clearly arrived in the game plan here for the New York Giants.
I know you wanted that one, so I wasn't going to just go, oh, yeah, what he said. Although, I mean, you're absolutely right. He's already the best player on their whole team. I mean, other than maybe Dexter Lawrence, but at least on their he's by far their best offensive player, which is crazy, and by far the Commanders' best defensive player. The ageless. It's Bobby Wagner. You mentioned it at the top. I remember you asked me yesterday, you're like, is Bobby Wagner still really good? And I was like, he's still like the best. Other than Fred Warner, he's still like the best linebacker in football. 90.8 overall, 90.1 run D, couple of run stops, pass breakup. And if you watch especially the run D tape, I still don't think there's anyone in the NFL right now who sheds blockers better than Bobby Wagner. I don't think there's a single linebacker that does it better than him.
Been around a long time, knows how to do it.
And they need to figure out some things around him. I'll roll into the most disappointing. They've got to figure out coverage. And look, apparently we saw it at LSU, and now we see it with the Giants covering Malik Neighbors is really hard, but they got to find answers at corner. Emmanuel Forbes was out for this game. Guys like Michael Davis and Benjamin St. Juste struggling out there. Washington corners gave up 11 catches for 151 yards and 9 first downs. And they're currently last in the NFL in coverage grade. They got to figure it out in the secondary because through 2 games, it's been pretty much a mess. The front 7 looks better. We're getting there. Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, Deron Payne. We're getting Johnny Newton some reps. I think their front 7 is going to be pretty good as the year goes on, but they have to figure out some coverage on this team. But Bobby Wagner, just ageless, absolutely ageless. I sit here, I watch him, and I go, could he just play as long as like Tom Brady did? Honestly, watch him.
There's no way.
Watch him shed blocks in this game. It's amazing.
He's ageless, certainly with his success in this defense for sure. And I think Dan Quinn's getting the most out of him. And he wanted that leader in the centerpiece of the defense, which it's great to see that it's already paying dividends for them. My disappointing, it's the Brian Daboll era right now because I like Brian Daboll as a coach. I really do. I think he deserves a lot of credit for what happened with Josh Allen and how he improved with the Buffalo Bills. I think Josh Allen has said that before himself. I think he's really great when it comes to offense and working with quarterbacks. There's only so much you can do with Daniel Jones, so I sort of feel bad for him in that regard. But now we're getting to much worse stuff, right? I mean, I think now it feels like he's a dead man walking, right? When you handle the kicking situation the way they did, where like Graham Gano's on the injury report, he's got a groin injury, you don't elevate the kicker, you stick with Graham Gano. After the game, he said, well, we felt like Graham Gano could go, and then he gets hurt in the game. Now he didn't re-aggravate the groin injury, but it was a hamstring injury. So Daboll sitting here fighting with a reporter, he's like, well, it's a hamstring injury. It wasn't a groin injury, and the reporter was saying back to him, was like, well, you don't think that the groin injury maybe like contributed to the hamstring injury? And so it's just an awkward back and forth there, but very clearly it was the wrong call because Gano gets hurt. They go for an extra point. They miss the extra point because they don't have a real kicker that's out there because they didn't make it their backup one active. And then they go for 2 really when they shouldn't have, and they didn't have to in 2 other times in the game. And so it's like...
And the 4th and 4 at the end, their last offensive play, in a vacuum, not having a kicker, it's... Okay, in a vacuum, that's a call. I would never go for that. I would just take the lead there.
And it's just like
it's a team that's finding ways to lose. Games.
And that's why it feels like Daboll is a dead man walking at this point. And it sucks because I think he's a good coach, and I think he's going to be a good offensive coordinator somewhere else.
I think he'll get another head coaching shot. Absolutely.
This next cycle? No.
Not this next cycle,
okay.
but no, he will. It won't be that long before he gets another chance. He's an excellent coach who is just the combination of everything that's going on with this team right now. And they played when they made the playoffs 2 years ago. It really seemed like they played so far over their heads because in the regular season, I think they were 29th as a team in overall grade.
Yeah.
Did he win Coach of the Year that year or no? If he didn't, he deserved it.
Was that the Kevin Stefanski year?
2022? Yeah, it might have been.
I think that was the Stefanski year.
Yeah, if he didn't win it, he certainly deserved it.
I think he was up there for it, though.
But this Giants team, they are finding ways to lose right now, and it's tough when you're short on talent and you're a team finding ways to lose.
Yep, no doubt.